Stuck working 60 plus hours a week, carrying problems you know your team should be solving and wondering why growth feels so exhausting? Here's the truth. If you're still the bottleneck, you don't have a business. You've got a high risk job. So let's fix that. If you felt like that, also know that you're not alone. In our coaching and in the masterminds, effective delegation comes up as one of the top 3 challenges for business owners. And it's not just about time, it's about management of risk. Now, the latest data shows that 67% of Australian employees are considering changing jobs within the next 12 months. Only 1 in 3 also feel that they get no development opportunities. Here's the kicker, and here's how those two things connect. If you're not delegating, your team's not growing. You're just getting overworked, but you're also at the risk of losing really good people. That's why we teach a proven framework that I learned through my 18 years serving in the military. It's also used by captains of industry and leaders globally. It's called the Seaport Delegation System. Now, Seaport is an acronym, and it stands for this: context, purpose, outcomes, resources, and time. So let's go through these. What does this mean? This is how to effectively delegate. The first one is around context. That's the C. And so what context is, why does this task matter? How does it fit in? It gives me the framework around what it is that I am passing on to someone else. That's the C. The second part of this is then looking at the purpose. And the purpose here is, what's the problem that this task is solving? So if the person is giving to understand the context, they know ideally the problem or the hurdle we're trying to get over. It then makes it easy for them to actually work solutions themselves. That gets us into the third piece, which is the outcome. What is the actual deliverable? What does it look like? How good does it need to be? What standard does it need to be at? How many of them? How much and how often? This gives clarity very specifically. So if you're giving this to someone, they're going to give it back to you, and based on your criteria of the outcomes, it makes it really clear, was that actually achieved? It helps them also understand, because you might go, oh, can you just do this thing for me? And they spend a week doing it. You go, I just needed like a little paragraph on that. So the outcome is very, very important. The next part of the puzzle here is looking at the R, and the R is talking about resources. In the sense of resources, someone could have a blank canvas to start with, but if we can help them hit the ground running, we can give them some tools, we can give them a template. We can also let them know who can actually help them or what can actually help them. It means they can actually get traction much quicker. And that leads us into our last one, that is T. And T stands for time or timing. This is really looking at what's the deadline, when do I need it getting done? And not only the timing, but also adding in when you want some check-ins. So let's say it's a larger project takes a week. You go, hey, when you're 2 days in, do a check-in with me and let me know how you go. So that's the Seaport system. The bonus step though is the boomerang. What do I mean by the boomerang? Well, the boomerang is after you have effectively delegated, you ask them to repeat back what they heard you say. So you get an appreciation of the understanding of what you communicate. It's a really good check-in to see how well you are communicating. As they say, communication is the response that you receive. So you're going to get a response and you can see how well you communicate. This one step alone has been proven to increase results by 80%. Or another way of saying it, 80% of breakdowns in delegation happen in that one little step. Okay, so that there is a really key thing, and that shows you the Seaport system. The big question that people say to us is, okay, I've got the system, but what am I going to give to someone that I know that they're not going to screw up? There's another piece of the puzzle, and that's over here, and that's going, well, what is it that I can delegate? So what we're doing is we're borrowing a principle, a training from Jeff Bezos. We're going to call it the Jeff Bezos framework. And it's going to help you identify, well, what's the task or the project I can pass to someone I can effectively delegate, but also make sure you're mitigating any of the risk. So here's how it works, really simple. And that is, you've got 2 criteria here. You've got the level of risk. You've got low risk on the left and you've got high risk on the right. Then the other side of the spectrum here, and the risk, that's pretty straightforward. Then the next thing is the adjustability. Adjustable means that when you do it, then you've got an ability to make iterations. Like you put it out, you can test it, you can come back and forward, and you can make some changes. That's one end of the spectrum. The other end of the spectrum is what he calls a one-way door. In other words, it's like a one-way valve. It opens up, it goes out, and there's no coming back. So if you've got something that it's mission critical, it's like a one shot, you've got one chance at it, then it's going to sit further up on the higher end. So when you're looking at the task and the action items, you go, well, what am I going to pass on or what should I keep? Really simple way to help you to navigate that part. Go, well, First off, is it a high risk? Well, if it's a high risk, it's going to be on this end here. Is it a one-way door? Oh, it is a one-way door. And guess what? Totally good. In fact, not only totally good, but actually really important for you to do it. But all the rest, these are imminently delegatable. So now what you've worked out is you worked out what you can delegate through this system here, and then that helps you using Seaport to show you how you can break it down. I'll give you a couple of examples. Ellie, she's a health practitioner in New South Wales, and in an early stage in her business, she was bringing on a virtual assistant. She realized, I don't have enough SOPs, standard operating procedures. And the thing is, at that early stage, you don't need lots of SOPs. In fact, you don't want to spend your time putting them in place. However, she was bringing on a new assistant, and she's like, I need to bring the assistant on, but I've got no assistant. So what she did is use the Seaport system to help her structure the tasks and allow the assistant to use that methodology, the Seaport methodology, to actually begin the documentation process. So that on its own is going to help you to scale your business. Let's give another example, Tim. Tim's based in Queensland, he has an engineering company, and he brought on a graduate designer, helping them draw out the designs. And what he did is he dumped a really big project on this new hire without giving sufficient clarity. What was the result? The project stalled. Then what he did is he went back in and we showed him what to do. We went through the Seaport system. He then chunked the project into phases with regular check-ins, and all of a sudden, the project started moving again and started doing really well. Give another example of Stan. Stan's an architect based in South Australia, and the thing with him is he's really struggling with his client email inbox. Now, this is a really, really important communication tool for him with his clients. It was kind of like the one way in, one way out system. It was a bit mission critical for them. If they screwed that up, then it's a pretty big deal. So he'd been sitting on this part, he's going, but it's taking so much of his time and it wasn't effective. He used the Seaport system that we get. He used this structure and he was finally able to hand it over. Not only that, but actually found he got a better result than him doing it, because he was constantly context switching from one thing to the next, but he had someone now who could run it and they were focused on customer service, got a better result. These are not just productivity hacks. These are leadership tools. Using Seaport and using the Jeff Bezos system helps you to go from winging it to creating a repeatable, scalable system. The confronting part of this, though, is most founders don't delegate because they have got some interesting beliefs. Here's the most common things that people tell us. It's way faster if I do it myself. Truth is, you're probably right. The thing about that, if you're doing it yourself, then you are always going to be doing it going forward, and you've just bought yourself a job. Second thing they say is, well, the team's not going to do it right. They won't do it right if you haven't effectively delegated. And if they keep on not doing it right, then now you know they're not the right person, rather than you being Superwoman, Superman, and jumping in and trying to fix it all the time. And then you end up in this vicious cycle. Third thing that we hear people say is clients are going to see, they're going to think less of me if I see my team member going on. I'm going to say to you, your clients are going to be happier that they're getting a better quality response more consistently, knowing that your head's in the game doing the thing that you need to. Is that really the thing you should be spending your time? Is that the thing that's giving the value to them and to their business? I would say not. If it's in that do category that we talked about here, yeah, that's where you can get a lot more benefit, not just for you and the business, but also for your clients. The reality is, without delegation, you've built yourself a job, not a business. And the worst part is you're holding your team back from growing. Let's be clear. We're not talking about delegation like abdication. Abdication is like dumping a task and then walking away. What we're saying is delegation means you stay accountable for the outcome whilst empowering your team to truly succeed. Now imagine this, using the system you delegated, using Seaport effectively. Your people now know exactly what success looks like. They feel trusted. They're getting developed. They're now feeling motivated. You've freed yourself up from 20 plus hours a week that you can think, you can lead, and you can grow. Your team is also growing. They're growing into leaders, and then not only that, but they're leading leaders because they've built a system that they can then help their people to also grow and expand. Your business is no longer dependent on you for every decision. That is what scaling looks like. That's how you stop being a bottleneck. That's how you start becoming the true leader that you can be by using a simple structure that I've taken you through here. How do I know this works? Well, at Abundance Global, we're a business advisory company, and we work with over 2,400 business owners all around the world. And we see that delegation comes up as constantly one of the hidden barriers to truly scaling a business. But it's really quite easy to master it. And when you master it, profits grow, stress drops, and you finally step into your role as a leader and doing the things you really love, not being a firefighter all the time. So here's what to do next. Start with one task this week. Use the delegation system, use this Seaport system, and then remember context, purpose, outcome, resources, and timing. Use that as a methodology for you. Then make sure you finish with the boomerang and get some feedback from them. Thinking about this, it only takes 5 minutes, but it could free you from years of overwhelm, and it'll help you to move fast. Now, this is one powerful tool that we use in a whole box of tools in Abundance Global. We've got tools, templates, and systems that are done for you, that our members get, they copy, paste, and put into their business so they can move way faster. So if you found this helpful and you're looking to really compress the time for you and to accelerate your results, you want to get out of the day-to-day running the business, you're just sick of wasting time, you want to get on with it, you want to make it happen, then connect with us and let's see if we're a good fit for each other to help you to also scale your business. And to give you an idea, our clients have an average of 232% increase in their profit year on year for the last 10 years. How do we know that? We get a profit and loss and balance sheet from them every month. And that's why they stay with us, and the average time that they stay with us is 6.7 years. Every month, we're with them side by side in the trenches, making sure that they're staying on point, that we're reviewing their numbers and mapping out with clarity what's their next step. So what we could do is help you put those systems in place so you can scale sustainably, you can build a team that really gets things done so you can get back to really enjoying your business again.